The Secret Spy of Valley Forge. The year is 1777, and the American Revolution is at a breaking point. General George Washington's army is freezing, starving, and on the verge of collapse at Valley Forge. But as the bitter winter rages on, a secret, untold story is about to unfold, one that could change the course of the war itself. Her name was Abigail Hart, a young woman from Philadelphia, and though history has forgotten her, she played a crucial role in the survival of the Continental Army. Abigail wasn't just a patriot, she was a spy, one who ventured deep into enemy lines, gathering secrets from the very heart of the British forces. But what brought her to Valley Forge wasn't just the need to report on the enemy. It was a warning about a traitor in Washington's own ranks. Abigail had been working for months, passing information between rebel camps and British officers under disguise. But her latest mission was different. She had uncovered a secret, something far more dangerous than any battle strategy. She had learned that the British weren't just planning another assault. They were getting their information from inside Washington's own army. A spy, a trusted officer, was feeding them every move the Continental Army made, and Abigail was convinced it was Lieutenant John Hale. The night she arrived at Valley Forge, the cold was unbearable. Snow blanketed the ground, and the campfires flickered weakly against the wind. She made her way quietly through the rows of tents, past the weary soldiers huddling for warmth. Finally, she arrived at the command tent, the place where Washington himself would be strategizing his next move. Inside, General Washington was poring over maps and reports. He barely looked up when Abigail entered, his mind focused on the war that threatened to tear his army apart. But Abigail knew time was running out. She had to speak now, or they would all be doomed. "General Washington, I bring urgent news," Abigail said, her voice steady but her hands shaking. She handed him a rolled-up parchment, the contents of which could save or destroy everything they had fought for. Washington read it quickly, his face hardening with every line. His gaze met hers. "You're certain?" Washington asked, his voice low. "This is no small accusation, Miss Hart. To claim betrayal within my ranks is a dangerous thing." Abigail nodded, her expression grim. "I am certain, General, and I believe the traitor is Lieutenant John Hale." Washington's face betrayed nothing, but inside, a storm was raging. Hale was one of his most trusted officers. The thought that he could be a turncoat seemed impossible. But Abigail's instincts were sharp. She had seen Hale speaking with British officers in disguise, far too often for it to be coincidence. What she didn't know, however, was that Hale had already become suspicious of her, and he wasn't about to let her reveal his secret. That night, as Abigail and Washington discussed the next move, the flap of the tent suddenly opened. Lieutenant John Hale stepped inside. His calm demeanor masked a mind working furiously to find a way to silence the threat standing before him. "Miss Hart, General," Hale said with a forced smile. "I trust I'm not interrupting anything important." His eyes flicked between the two, but Abigail knew. She could see it in the way he held himself, in the tense line of his jaw. He had been waiting for this moment. Abigail didn't hesitate. In an instant, she lunged for her concealed blade, catching Hale off guard. She disarmed him in one swift motion, slamming him against the table where Washington's maps lay. Hale's shock was palpable, but his eyes never lost that cold edge. "You've been feeding them our secrets, haven't you?" Abigail said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Washington stood slowly, his hand moving to the hilt of his sword, but he didn't draw it yet. He needed to hear Hale's confession. Hale, his face now twisted in a snarl, sneered. "You think this will change anything? The revolution is lost. The British will crush you, just as they'll crush every last one of you here. It's too late." Abigail leaned in, her voice barely a whisper. "It's never too late." Washington's men quickly entered, subduing Hale, and as they dragged him away, Washington turned to Abigail. His expression was unreadable, but his gratitude was clear. "You've saved us, Miss Hart," he said quietly, "but I fear you may never be recognized for this. History will forget your name, but I won't." Abigail nodded, her eyes fixed on the door where Hale had been taken. She didn't need recognition. All that mattered was that the cause was alive. The traitor had been exposed, and the Continental Army had a fighting chance. And so, the American Revolution continued, with one small but significant victory at Valley Forge, thanks to the courage of a woman whose name history would never truly remember. Abigail Hart. History remembers the famous names, but sometimes it's the forgotten ones who change the course of the world. Thank you for watching. What if you were a spy in the American Revolution? Leave your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more historical fiction tales.